We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked off by the line. Darius Slay's got it. Coming back right side 25. Picks up a block at the 30. Darius at the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right. Stafford throws deep. Got a man out there. Enzo. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Marvin Jones.
Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Cornbread.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what's going on? Fantasy football flavor in the house. Thursday, recording here right before the Thursday night football game. Pushed it back a little bit this week. We're gonna see if Monday makes the most sense, or maybe we bump this thing to Thursday. But we thank you guys for hanging in there. We're glad to be back, and we got Chuck in the house. Chuck's in the building. Chuck, what's going on, buddy?
What up, everybody? I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to talk about some fantasy football and getting week 1 in the books.
Oh, man, you've been waiting for this day, man. Real football, and like you say, we got a week under our belt. It's just great to think that we're going to have college and pro every weekend now, basically through the Christmas holiday. That's going to be incredible. Chuck Dog, now, I just looked at my sheet before we went on. I got basically 7 major leagues that I do for fantasy, you know, those ones that actually count or that you really want to win, a couple throw-ins, you know, stuff like that. But I went 5-2 in week 1. The only bad part was at least 1, if not 2 of the ones I lost were ones I kind of wanted to win either for pride or because they got a lot on riding on the line. So, you know, that was too bad. I always want to go, you know, 100%, but 5-2. How'd you do in your leagues this first week?
Oh, Derek, 5-2 ain't too bad, man. I went 4-1, and the only reason I went 4-1 is because of Baker Mayfield. Couldn't do anything.
Oh man, that guy, I gotta say, he cost me a league too. I mean, like you said, his name's Baker Mayfield, and here's what Grifka thinks.
I'm like, that's Baker Mayfield right there, Baker. Yeah. I just want to let you know, he sucks. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Mark it down.
I gave Grifka his moment in the sun because he said that he actually did suck. You can mark it down this week, but I don't expect it to continue. So, yeah, man, we fared well. I know there's been people on Twitter and across the board kind of thanking us for doing the show, getting people back into fantasy football, like helping them out with their lineups, all that type of stuff. So that's been great, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to apologize to Mr. Frank Ribble for not responding too quickly on some of his stuff that he asked, but I got to him today, and hopefully it's good advice for him, and it should be good to go.
What I had that sort of on my list to get at when I had you on. Like, was it about his trade for Zeke Elliott?
Yeah, nope, I didn't get into that yet. I just saw that a little bit on there. He traded Zeke for 3 people, right? Or he gave up Zeke for 3?
Yeah, he gave up Zeke, and he got James Conner. He got Tyrell Williams and Stefan Diggs, I believe it was. I had first said, hey, you might want to think about it. Zeke's the 101. He's back. He's paid. He's a stud. And then when I looked at it, I mean, he sort of said in his lineup, I didn't like overthink it, but I looked at it and I'm kind of like, you know, you might want to get those 3, beef up your receiving core. And James Conner, yeah, he's a couple steps down, obviously, from Zeke. But I thought, like, between him and I think Chubb was his other running back, I thought that was pretty good value. So I told him to go ahead on it. But I know you'd hate it because you're such a homer for all those boys down in Dallas.
Man, you are not calling the kettle black over here talking about a homer. Anyway, so, yeah, you know, James Conner is more like Mount Rushmore's step off from Zeke, but you know, if you can go ahead and key Charles Barkley in here because I just think that's terrible.
You think that's a terrible trade? A terrible idea?
That's terrible. That's a terrible idea. That's a terrible idea.
I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think it was a good
terrible.
trade by Frank.
Nope, I don't really care for James Conner this year. Tyrell Williams actually was a little bit of a surprise for me this week. He balled out, and I don't really care for Stephon Diggs this year either.
That's surprising. I'll go with you a little bit on James Conner, but I did see an interview with him where he's like, I mean, the guy's a good interview. He says he wants the rock. He's in the best shape of his life. I mean, did not perform very well in week 1, but I would expect him to kind of get a lot of the footballs and get going. So, like you say, I figure we might be on both sides. But normally, I mean, when you total up points, if you're getting 3 players, let's say all those players average in the, let's just say they average 150 points apiece in a standard type league. I mean, Zeke at his high is going to get you upper 200s, so you're still coming out on the front end, especially when you can put in starters and I'm always a depth guy. I want to play for depth. I want to account for injuries. I want to, I want superstars, but I want depth and I want to be able to fill out that lineup with quality starters every week. So that's why I went with it.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen his team. I mean, I guess if he was really hurting really bad for receivers, where they were going to affect his team a lot, then okay. But I'd actually have to see his team and see what the other guy has to offer. I mean, why would the guy just be so willingly to give up 3 players for Zeke if everybody else thinks that's a good trade? You know what I mean? So you'd have to see what the whole picture on it.
I don't think I forgot that I did tell you this, but we got to put it on the show because I don't think we put it on there. I made a trade for Zeke as well, so I think it was days before we got to Sunday last week. The Big Hughes actually, all of a sudden in our main league, our big league with all my buddies, just shoots me, hey, what do you think about trading for Zeke? And I'm like, what do you want? And he said Juju, and he wanted like Carry-On, and I said, well, Carry-On's my dynasty rookie, and I really didn't have anybody else in the pipeline, so I like to keep him. I said, what about Juju and Mixon for Zeke? And I got Landry back, Jarvis Landry, and sure enough, man, he sent it over. I looked it over, and I basically just hit accept because I was getting Zeke. You know what I mean? Like, he's not if the number 1 overall player, but at least 3 or 4 on your board if you're a little down on them for whatever reason. And anytime you can kind of get the top guy and still get a good piece back. I mean, Jarvis Landry's a catch monster and will be fine for what I need him for. And the other 2 products, they're good, but they're a little hit or miss. And we already saw some injuries with both of them after I made the deal. So happy to put Zeke in my starting lineup, man, especially in a big keeper league like that. Yeah,
to me, that's a no-brainer. I mean, that's an easy trade for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're giving up Juju. So far after 1 game, I guess it is. He doesn't look that great, and Joe Mixon's already hurt again. So, that's a really good trade. I mean, you're getting. I always like Jarvis Landry. He's a good receiver. I just hope maybe Baker Mayfield shows up and gets him the ball.
Just like how we do A-Shawn on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, you got to say it with respect, Chuck. I mean, it's Baker Mayfield, but
you got to earn respect to get the respect. So
man,
this kid balls out. He's just going to be. I might even call him Maker Bayfield. Okay.
He'll get it together, man. That's what I love about fantasy football. Everybody acts after week 1 or 2 like they got it all figured out, or the star player wasn't good. Oh, drop him, trade him, whatever. It's like, no, man, he's going to be fine. Lots of players are going to be fine. We'll talk about that later in the show. But hey, Chuck, I got a little something different on the board. I thought I'd run it by you. We'll do this live on the show for the people. You ready for a little something?
Let's roll.
So normally we do news and notes off top, talking injuries, talking what's going on in the league. I thought we'd change it up a little bit this week, and I thought what we do is our first ever fantasy football flavor 2-minute drill. Now in the NFL, the 2-minute drill, I mean, you're going no huddle, you got the tempo turned up, and you're trying to make an impact. So I thought we'd do the same thing here on the podcast. What I'm going to do is hit some classic music, either football or some beats or something. And me and you are going to go back and forth with just random takes, things we saw over the week, funny things, anything that has to do with fantasy football, injuries, whatever's on your mind. We're going to go back and forth, see if we can knock it out for 2 minutes, entertain the people, and do something a little different off the top. So you think we could do this?
Let's do it.
All right, and I don't think there's any better music, Chuck Dog, to start with than absolutely this. A little. Can you do it with me, Chuck? Prime time. Prime time. Prime time.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So let me get this kicked off right, Chuck Dog. Week 1, the football gets kicked off, and before you could blink, my boy Sammy Watkins is going for 70-plus yards, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling for a big touchdown. I told you he was going to be good. You said he was going to be a bum. Sammy Watkins showed up not only on that play, give him 3 touchdowns and a bunch of yards. Oh, baby.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that too, since I got him in our league. I didn't expect him to ball out like that, but he does that, at least 2 games a year, so that'll probably be his whole stat for the season. But
good,
it's good. Yeah, what about these rookie wide receivers, Derek? All of them just went off this week, man. I can count 3 of them off the hand that just balled out. You got Marquise Brown, you got
Hollywood.
Yeah, you got Hollywood. You got the kid from Tennessee, AJ Brown. All those guys just balled out this week, man. What do you think about that?
Big time, man. I had them on my list as well. Not only young guys, but making big plays down the football field. Chuck Dog, I got to talk injuries, man. Nick Foles throwing a dime piece for a touchdown and getting his clavicle broken. Next thing you know, Tyreek Hill going down. He's got some type of clavicle in his rib cage, something going on. He's out for weeks. Joe Mixon out for weeks with an ankle or something going on. Hopefully he's back. We got all types of things going on, and it's just crazy how injuries happen right off the bat in fantasy football. It's just crazy. I mean, talk about that or hit us with something different.
What about Darius Geis, man? The poor kid can't catch a break. The kid looked like he was going to be something special for Washington, and now he's out for multiple weeks with another knee injury on the opposite knee that he just tore his ACL last year with.
Always hurt.
He seems to be that way, man. That kid has so much potential coming out of college, and he looked good in the Redskins preseason games, and he looked like he showed some flashes of being a special back, and here he is. He's out again. He's getting a second opinion, so we'll see what happens with that, but I see him out for half the season.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Another tough injury. Let me hit us one more thing. The 2-minute drill is about to conclude. Got to get some Lions stuff in here. I had to give it to Grifka on the Koolaid Cast because TJ Hawkinson, Hawkamania, was running wild on Sunday. Set a rookie record for tight ends. Oh, brother. You see what he was doing all over the football field, catching and running, scoring touchdowns. The Detroit Koolaid drinkers love it. That was something to watch. Absolutely incredible, man. So let's end the 2-minute drill with a hawk spike, and we'll get up out of here, get this show rolling. So good 2-minute drill for our first one. I thought it was good. We'll have to work on our signals, work on our plays, but we're about ready to kick that game-winning field goal, I think, and get this thing up and in for a game winner. Good work, Chuck Dog. Go ahead and get out for our sponsors. Get them in. Right. We got a new sponsor. We've got our classics. We want people to visit Spotify as well as Anchor Podcasts. Yep. And right after the break, we got tons more to talk about. We're gonna hit surprises, disappointments, top performers, maybe some people to start for this week, all types of stuff. So we'll be right back after the break.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become? Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Detroit Koolaid drinkers, fantasy football flavor, enthusiasts. We are back in the building, talking fantasy football. Chuck, man, pitch it over to you on the option play. What you got going on this week?
Derek, I want to talk about some of these players, some surprise players that just totally went off this week. That kind of surprised me a little bit. We already talked about one of them, is Sammy Watkins. He had 9 catches, 198 yards and 3 TDs. Unbelievable, man. Yeah, I never thought he would do that. But
That
he went
deserves a
off.
soundbite, I think. I mean, usually it's reserved for AO, but Sammy Watkins,
Oh, baby!
it was something else, man. And like, I was so happy to see it because everybody was still down on this guy, and they were just kind of like, oh, he's just not good. I mean, almost anybody can be good in that offense, but it was really nice to see him blow up. He looked faster, looked better. So yeah, I loved it. I had him in a few leagues. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then another guy, man, I did not expect, Lamar Jackson just to come out slinging and balling, man. That guy dropped some rainbows into Marquise Brown's chest, dude. He
absolutely.
He looked like a stud out there. Of course, it was against that Division II college team, the Miami Dolphins, but still, I mean,
Yeah.
he was out there just balling. And then the Dallas Cowboy Dak Prescott, he was out there dropping dimes into the receiver's chest. Over 400 yards passing, 4 TDs. And then another one is, go ahead.
Well, I'm surprised you got a Cowboy in. I mean, that's shocking. And I wanted to say I had a quick we had a quick voicemail on the Miami Dolphins. Came from an anonymous caller. This is actually a block line, but here's a little clip.
That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful to perform like that. Pitiful. It sucked. It stunk.
So that was their review of the Miami Dolphins football team as a whole, and I pretty much agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Derek, what about Father Time not even touching Fitzgerald? He comes out there and he balls out. I mean, I don't like to bring it up because it was against your Lions, but
really, you're gonna do this? You're gonna do this to me right now?
How old is Fitz? Isn't he like 62?
Approximately. I mean, they count his age with an hourglass, I think. But yeah, I mean, I can't believe you're doing this to me. But I was telling Grifka, like, you go back and watch that game. I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter, but all I know is Kyler Murray just chucked the football up in the air. My boy T-Walk, formerly 747, was in great coverage on 2 of those plays. I mean, in his hip pocket right there with his long gangly arms, and somehow Larry Fitzgerald turns 3 different ways and a fourth on Sunday and freaking makes 2 amazing catches way down the football field. I could not believe it.
He's definitely one of the best who's ever played the game. But it just, like I said, he's got to slow down one of these years, doesn't he? Or is he just going to keep balling out for the remainder of his?
I wrote him off like at least 4 or 5 years ago. So as a guy I would draft, and he keeps putting up numbers. I remember like it was probably 5 or 6 years ago. I drafted him, kind of like, he's a little bit older, but I'll take him. And he was good. And ever since then, I always pass on him. And I mean, like you say, it's not only unbelievable what he does, but like the Cardinals are still paying him $20 million. And like you say, every year he comes back, I'm like, oh, Larry Fitzgerald, another money grab. And the guy just, I mean, he's a great dude, don't get me wrong. But yeah, when's he going to slow down or go away or both? I have no idea.
I'm surprised like a Super Bowl contender that's a little weak at the wide receiver position hasn't reached out to the Cardinals, to bring Fitz in there.
I'm sure they have. The Cardinals just keep guys out of, I don't know if it's respect or that's the way they do it, but I mean,
is that respect?
You know what? Well,
is that
I
respect?
Mean,
leaving him at this
pay
franchise
him.
that's rebuilding?
They pay him respectfully as a top guy at 37 years old or whatever he is. But
look, the Cardinals aren't going to win anything anytime soon. So I'm just saying, is it really respect holding him down to there, or is it more respect maybe to let him go to?
I mean,
let him go to a team and have a shot.
I mean, he might be wanting to just stay and end as a Cardinal, but I don't know how that works. Yeah. But I know that they've done that to Pat Pete too. I mean, they get a million calls on him. And they just keep him around. He's a centerpiece. They want him to be a Cardinal for life. I don't know what they're doing, but it is what it is. But yeah, he killed my Lions, so thanks for bringing that up. You got any more surprises or duds or anything?
Let's go out with these tight ends, man. There was tight ends just balling this week. I mean, you've got Mark Andrews, Evan Ingram, T.J. Hockenson. I mean, he just balled out this weekend. You got each one of them went over 100 yards. I think Ingram even had double-digit catches. I think he was at 11 catches for 110 yards. And well, what's up with these tight ends, man? They just act like they're wide receivers all of a sudden. Just balled out this week.
Yeah, tight end's a tough one for me because I always, kind of encourage people that unless you have one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends, I mean, you can wait on them, as well as people were asking me on Twitter and stuff like, do you play him in a flex spot? Do you, do you do you get him in your lineup? And I'm always going to lean towards running backs, receivers, when I can. But they've been saying for years like they're going to these flex tight ends that really make plays. But when you look at their numbers at the end of the year, they're getting like 600-700 yards. A top guy is maybe getting around that 1,000, but that's about it. So when you compare that to kind of the mid-level receivers, I mean, a mid-level receiver can get you 1,000, 1,100 yards and some TDs. So, that's just how the value works out for me. But yeah, man, I mean, Evan Ingram, been waiting on him. He showed up. Hawk, I mean, played a lot better than you could even expect on an opener from a guy like that. But he basically just made the plays that were there and had some good run after catch. I was telling people too that I'm still not really sold on Mark Andrews. I mean, everybody loves him. They love the offense he's in. They talking him up big, but I feel like he was a really good college player and then had a not so great combine and then got taken lower in the draft than some thought. And I mean, I think he has a chance to be good because where he's at, but I'm not putting a ton of chips on him or acting like he's a top 5 guy every week. But yeah, they definitely some good tight end production, and that's definitely a spot where I always kind of deal with what I got rather than have a top player there.
Yeah, I get it.
Like I was rolling Joku out, touchdown, and 40, 50 yards, whatever he had, that usually gets me by. So.
Oh, absolutely. If you got other key players that are in the the bigger positions, then yeah, that's not too bad from a tight end. You only need so many points when you're stacked everywhere else, but sometimes it's a nice surprise to be stacked somewhere else and then draft one of these guys that match, maybe your wide receiver 2, a lot. So, but other surprises I have, Marlon Mack. What the heck was that? 174 yards and a touchdown?
Yeah, I mean, he was on my, down on my list. I told people to sort of avoid him, especially then when Andrew Luck quit on his team or made a great personal choice for himself, what everybody says. I thought for sure, they might run it a bit more, but you can stack the box. I mean, Jacoby Brissett's no world beater. And, Marlon Mack showed up big. I mean, tip your cap. But again, all these things are week 1. So, I was just urging people to not overreact as everybody does or go crazy. But you know how that goes.
Well, whoever has Marlon Mack, you might want to think about trading high.
right
now.
Yeah.
He's at the top of what he can do. So if you have him, you start offering him around.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a pretty good player. I mean, I liked him sort of coming out of college, but it's just like you said. I mean, is he really going to be a top 5, top 8 running back for the whole season? He gets hurt a lot, so that's one thing we haven't talked about on the show a ton. Is how to get out when the stock's at its highest. I agree with you. I think that it's a good time to sort of shop some of these guys that did really well week 1, heading into week 2, and get a piece that is set long term.
Oh yeah, because you'll have some of these guys just looking at it. And he's listed as the number 1 running back in football right now, as according to stats. And you offer him, people are gonna see that and be like, oh yeah, let's do this trade, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, as far as surprises, man, that's about as many as I got. Before we get into disappointments, you got any more surprises you want to lay on us?
I think you hit on a lot of the names I was looking at, but I do have a surprise for you. I want to fit this in on the show because this guy's called up a couple times on the Koolaid Cast, and he called in today, recording on Thursday, with his Lions prediction, and we're not going to be able to get in before the Friday show. Recorded that a little bit early this week, so I thought I want to play this guy for you, get your take on him, and if you can really help me out with the name. I can't make out this dude's name, so you want to give this a listen for me?
All right, let's listen.
All right, let me load this guy up. Pretty entertaining. We had a few funny calls on the Koolaid Cast, so go ahead and live this, and the Kool-Aid drinkers to hear this guy's prediction for the game.
What's up, Detroit Koolaid, man? It's Bob Bunker back in here, man. Just want to say what's up and call to get my predicament for the Detroit Lions and the San Diego Chargers, man. I think the Detroit Lions going to beat the Chargers 27-17, man. That's what's up. That's right. They're going to beat the San Diego Superchargers for sure, man. That's what's up. Peace out.
Oh man, so that's what's up, man.
Yeah, man, that's what's up.
So did you catch this dude's name first of all?
I thought he said Barb. Did he say Barb?
I don't know. I thought it was Bob, and so I actually
Bob?
checked with somebody. I checked with somebody else to see if it was Bob, and here's what I got.
Bob? But my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is.
That's the response I got. So Bob, Billy, it doesn't matter, but I like his calls. Funny. I think he had the Lions winning, so I got to respect that. And yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, he sounds like a cool dude, and he seems a little excited for the Lions. So, you know, he'll be good for the Kool-Aid people.
We've been encouraging people to call in. I mean, Conrad from Huntsville called in. We got this new Bob guy calling in. LaFurgis Nuggets has not called back in again. And then we've got some classics, you know, the Frank Ribbles of the world, the other people on Twitter. We're trying to get them to call in, have some entertaining moments. So thought I'd play that for you before you got to your disappointments. That was my surprise for you.
Well, thank you.
Bob says you're welcome. I mean, Billy.
Or Barb.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, what we got for disappointments from the week?
Well, we've already touched on it a few times in here, but my biggest disappointment right now is Baker Mayfield. What were you doing during this whole game? He looked like he was lost out there, Derek. I've seen a couple of his receivers wide open, and he looks like he literally threw it way behind him to the cornerback, like he thought he was playing for the Titans or something. I looked at some of those throws. I was like, what the heck was that? You know, and I kept waiting for this guy to just click and then boom, let that offense go. He's in charge of a high-powered offense right now, and he's definitely not driving it well.
Yep. Did you also see that he got killed on almost every play by his offensive line? Did him no favors. I mean, like you said, I can't make a ton of excuses for him, but every time I watched a little bit of the game, I mean, the guy was getting absolutely just blown up in the backfield. I thought he was definitely going to get injured, you know, from a couple of the hits he took. He got slammed right on his shoulder. I think they said he walked away with the wrap on his hand and stuff. He just looked all out of sorts. Here's my biggest issue too with Baker Mayfield, other than his play. What's he got the quadrifold wristband on for that's just flapping in the breeze? Did you see that thing? It was like, it's like, hey bro, you might want to study your playbook so you don't need a threefold wristband that's flapping in the wind all day. That's going to affect your throwing motion right there. I think he had it on his throwing arm too. It was just weird.
It was Teflon.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, but yeah, that was rough. I mean, I would love to say more about it, but I think there's only one last thing we got to say. I mean,
I'm like, that's Baker Mayfield right there. Baker. yeah. I just want to let you know. He sucks, okay? Yeah, there you go. Mark it down.
I mean, we've been getting that on the show. I cannot wait till Baker Mayfield blows up, and then I can play that a lot more too, right in Griffith's face. But this was not that week. So who else you got? Let's move on to better topics.
All right. Then the next one, we're staying right in the same division. What happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers offense? None of the big three did a darn thing. I didn't get to catch the whole game. I was busy doing something else, and then I just checked my phone to see what it was at halftime. And Big Ben had like 68 yards at halftime. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I turned the game on and I saw what was going on. What happened to that offense? I mean, there was no holes for James Conner. He looked like, you know, a third-string tailback, couldn't make anybody miss. You had Ben Roethlisberger just slinging it deep into, you know, three people on Juju. I know you got other receivers out there besides Juju. They had to be open. It just, I just don't know what happened to that whole Pittsburgh offense.
Chuck, I don't know how this keeps happening, but again, just another anonymous blocked call coming through. I mean, he wants to talk about that game. It's a crazy coincidence. I mean, here you go.
We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked.
I mean, I agree, caller. I mean, unbelievable. They were terrible. I mean, I got to sell myself out a little bit. I was so beat up on Sunday with not feeling well. I had back neck issues that I kind of, after that Lions game, I had nothing left. And I started watching this game, and by the time I woke up, I mean, what was it, like 30-3 or whatever it ended up being? I was just like, oh, damn, Steelers got whooped. I mean, I hate that when that happens on Sunday night where I just clunk out. But, yeah, they didn't do anything. I mean, none of the skilled players outside did anything, and they couldn't run it. I don't know. I agree with the caller. Terrible. They sucked.
Horrible. So I don't know. I wasn't expecting the Steelers to win by any means because, the Patriots are the Patriots, but at least show up. It's like they never got off the plane.
Yeah, exactly. Real down on the everybody's talking about like Big Ben who went into it or will he retire? I mean, I think they'll be fine. To me, it was just, they played the Patriots on a banner when the banner's coming down. I mean, they got their tails whooped, and I think they'll come back and be fine. It's just one of those games. But yeah, it was ugly.
Did you hear his interview? Like I think it must have been the next day. They were asking him about the game, and his response was, "The sun's still shining." Cool, Ben. Cool. You might want to get tested.
Big Ben might. I mean, I saw something where he canceled his talk show because it got him in so much grief with AB and all these other people. But he's the worst after games. Just never knows what to say. I mean, he did a pretty good interview before the season where he was like taking accountability and really looked like a top leader. But I don't know, like right after or the next day, he's just not good. He doesn't know what to say or do. He blames everybody and acts like no big deal. But I don't know. That's kind of quarterback speak too. Just like, hey, like I just said, there's 15 more weeks of games for him to play. 1 week, the world's not ending. So that's probably what he's trying to say.
Well, hopefully they played the Dolphins this year because besides that, the way they looked that night, I don't think they're going to get anything done.
Yeah, that'll be fine. You're that guy that's overreacting to one game. I mean, they got skilled players. They got a franchise Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm not worried about it. If I was the Dolphins, I'd be worried about it.
Tell me, it's only one game. It's only one game. They only lost by 49. It's only one game.
Yeah, everybody else, I'm saying one game. The Dolphins, after about a quarter, I mean, you can basically just here. I think I got a soundbite for it actually. After about one quarter, everybody in the Dolphins organization was, I don't know, thinking this with the first pick. So they're done, no doubt about it. But Pittsburgh will be fine. They'll be good.
All right, we'll have to trust you on that one. Maybe they'll make a few changes. Maybe put on the right cleats or something. I don't know what they did. Take off their tutus, put on some football pants, maybe actually play a game. We'll see what happens.
It's still sunny out, Chuck. No worries.
It is. Well, I'm looking. It's pretty dark out right now, but
yeah, actually it is. Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, as far as disappointments, man, this was actually a pretty good week, and I just basically had those two as my biggest disappointments. I didn't want to keep. I could have gone down and down and down, but what do you have for us? Any disappointments?
Well, let's go ahead. We'll keep the show moving, kind of finish this out here. I'm going to do a cheap plug right now for everybody that's listening to this show. Every Thursday morning, I'm dropping an article on USA Today Lions Wire. It's called the Fantasy Football Weekly. You can go check it out. I'm talking about what happened the previous week. I'm giving you start sits, top 3 projected players at each position, giving you some matchups, things to look at. So if you haven't checked that out, please go check it out. I was just going to throw a couple of my start sits out there, Chuck. Some of them are a little bit off the radar. Didn't want to go total chalk for people. So a couple starts I had for this week 2. I think Matt Ryan has a bounce back. They're in the Georgia Dome. Usually plays well. Just had a debacle of a first week. So Matt Ryan, I put him in my lineup. Derrick Henry's not a guy I love, but he played really well, and I think he's got a decent matchup. So I'll go ahead and give Derrick Henry a play if I've got him. Courtland Sutton really liked what he did in that game against the Raiders. Broncos overall didn't play that well towards the end, but every time I looked up, Courtland Sutton was getting the football and seemed to have good rapport with Joe Flacco. And then I put Evan Ingram on my tight ends start list because there's not too many options over there in New York. I think Shepard is in concussion protocol, so roll Evan Ingram out there. A couple of my sits. I think it's Lamar Jackson against Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray's just going to get a whooping by the Baltimore defense. They're just going to eat him up. I mean, the Lions played good for 3 quarters against him. I bet Baltimore would just out physical him for the whole game. Kenyon Drake's on my sit list. He just didn't have it. Saw a lot of people actually dropping Kenyon Drake. I mean, I still think he's a good player, especially if they use him in the pass game, but probably sit him down. Deshaun Jackson is a guy that I listed as a receiver that went up over the top in week 1. I was going to play him in a couple leagues, and I didn't, and I wish I would have because he blew up, but I think he kind of comes back a little bit this week, even though I like him long-term for the season. And then Noah Fant's another guy I sort of like as a dynasty play, but sit him this week. He had a couple drops, a couple just mistakes in that first week. I don't think he's there yet. What they need. So there's a few start sits I want to get in before we finish out. You got anybody on your list that you're definitely putting in your lineup or you're excited about this week?
I got some starts for the week for you, and I think you're gonna like a couple of these, Derek. The first one's gonna make you laugh because I just put this guy down, but I think Big Ben's gonna rebound.
There you go.
I think Big Ben's going to rebound, and he's going to do his thing this week, and he should put up some points for some of you owners that had Big Ben. And number 2 for running back, I got Kerryon Johnson. If Marlon Mack just went off on the San Diego defense. If Patricia does not give Kerryon this ball, he's a fool. Kerryon should be able to tear this team up for, over 100 yards and some touchdowns.
I agree.
Wide receiver, I like Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is playing against New Orleans, and every time he plays against New Orleans, he balls out. So expect a good game from Brandon Cooks. Wow! And then we got, you're gonna love this next one because, like I said, from week whatever, TJ Hawkinson is gonna ball out one more week. Yes, start TJ. Put him in your lineup.
Oh man, me and Griffith are going to be down at the Silver Dome. I mean, at Ford Field, brother. And Hawkamania is going to be running wild all over Detroit, dude.
All 63,000 strong.
That's 163,000, brother. Oh, class.
All right. So for defense, I say start the New England Patriots. They're playing the Dolphins. Start them. And then
start
for my
everybody
bonus,
on New England in every phase.
That's my bonus. Start all the Patriots on offense. You can start them all.
Yep.
Every one of them is going to score some points for you. Yep. And that's about all I have for starts of the week, man.
Good stuff, man. Anything else big before we get up out of here?
No. What do you think the over-under is of AB actually playing a game this year?
Oh man, I mean, we've talked about him before. I'm a proponent. I mean, I know everybody's soured on him, and like I've sent a few buddies some texts just saying this dude's lost his damn mind. But I mean, he did not forget how to play football. Every time they show a highlight of him, he looks like 10 times faster than anybody else I've seen run routes before. I mean, the guy looks incredible. So, I think if he plays, he's going to be absolutely off the charts for the Patriots. I think it's ridiculous that they scooped him up, except for the fact it's not like they got a discount deal. I mean, they absolutely paid this guy like a premier. I mean, see that $20 million option for next year? Oh my.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, they just added that at the end too.
They did not bring this dude in on like a team friendly, veteran minimum, prove yourself. They basically just said, "Yep, you're the top receiver in the game. Here you go." Yep. And then of course this thing came down, and like I say, that's no laughing matter. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think that he will still maybe not play this week, but if nothing crazy comes out, I would assume in the next couple of weeks he'll not only get in the lineup but kind of ball out, and then after that he's just a start every week if he's playing football. I mean, ignore everything off the field. We're just talking fantasy football. If he's in, I mean, you're not only playing him, but him with Tom Brady is going to be absolutely ridiculous for the league to watch. So we'll see what happens. I'm kind of rooting for him to play just because he's such an electric talent, and to put all this other stuff behind it. I think if he plays and just doesn't act a fool, everybody would remember how good he is, but he's just too much off the field right now to even consider that,
Act a fool. That reminds me of that song. What you gonna do? Act a fool.
Absolutely, man. We gotta get a Chuck freestyle one of these weeks. We got Grifka singing. We had Conrad come in with a song about Grifka. It was Notorious B.I.G., but he goofed on Grifka for always being negative. It was absolutely classic. So we're gonna have to put a mixtape together. I think is what's really gonna have to happen.
Oh yeah, and we'll put it like the Kool-Aid mixtape. We'll throw it on Twitter and see what people think.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be underground. You have to work to get your hands on it. Once you do, straight fire.
Fire.
So good stuff, man. I guess to get us out of here, I just want to tell people, if you want to get your questions read, if you want to get some of our feedback on things, you just got to send us something on Twitter, call that Detroit Koolaid Cast Listener Line, 989-272-3484. You can call it. You can even just send a text to that number. We'll get it. We'll read you on the show. We'll pump you up. We'll put your Twitter handle on here. Chuck, you want to throw your handle out there, get some people heading your way with some questions? I mean, probably anything that's non-Cowboys, you probably won't have a clue, but I mean, it's worth a try, huh?
Derek. It's going to have to take you to class again. Just hit at me at creeves_@charter.com. I got to give a couple shout outs to
what? I think you just handed out your email to everybody.
No.
You said something charter.com.
Did I say charter.com?
Yeah. You can email Chuck. Chuck, you want to give out your home phone as well?
Sure, yeah. It's 989. Shut up, Derek.
Chuck, what is it even? Chuck or Char? I don't even know what your Twitter is, but I don't even know if you know it. So anyway, he's on my timeline. People find him at Derek Ogrie, DerekOkrie. The biggest thing is if we're recording on Mondays or on Thursdays, you want your question read, you got to get in a day or two early so we can read that thing, get it on our list, and get it answered for you. So tell people to do that. Anytime you put hashtag Fantasy Kool-Aid, that'll get to us and we'll be able to see it. So go ahead and do that. And love interacting with the fans and the people. And fantasy football is here, man. We only got 16 more weeks to enjoy. So get those questions out there, get your lineups in, and put up those W's. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to give a shout out to a new listener, Matt Filer. Thanks for giving us a listen. Keep following
absolutely.
us.
Yeah, nice. I love it when people connect with it, man. And like I say, everybody loves fantasy football. We just have a ton of fun talking about it, and people enjoying the show. So that's a good thing. So Chuck, man, let's go ahead and get out of here. I'll catch you next week, man, right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast Fantasy Football Flavor. We'll get up out of here. We'll catch you guys next week.
Peace.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over! What a comeback by the Lions!
Drink it in, man.